This reminds me a lot of the Jack Campbell situation where you have just a goaltender who has no confidence, really hard on himself, needs to find himself again. I would think strongly about sending this guy down to the AHL away from the team, because at this point, it's literally costing the team. Like, again, I'm not taking the blame away from the rest of the team yesterday in that loss, but I think Samsonov was a big reason why they got in that type of hole. And I want this guy nowhere close to Leafs crease. I know Wool's out. I know they have Hill to be in the minors. They don't want to rush him along. He's like 23. They got Petrozelli. I mean, their options are limited, but I think it's Martin Jones' time. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and that's why you sign Martin Jones. You look at, that's a great signing at this point, right? You look at the depth. Even you look at certain teams that are dealing with this as well, with a few injuries, let alone just guys playing bad. Even the Wings having Reimer as some depth with Line and Husso out. But I don't think that is really an outlandish comment by Kypreos, being like his next game should be in the I think you should get him down there, let him go play, let him figure out his stuff, because the margin for error at the NHL level is just, you can't be taking your bumps and bruises up there. That's why you look at even like Levi and UPL in Buffalo. I think they rush those guys. But Samsonov's at a point in his career where he's the guy, right? Like, you need to play well. You're getting paid to play well. And even not giving him the big deal that he could have deserved last year, taking him arbitration, looks genius right now. Imagine they were locked in on this guy on like a big term deal like Edmonton did to Campbell, where everybody was like, how are you giving him 5 for 5? Now look at the situation they're in. So maybe you get him down there. Maybe Martin Jones can be the stopgap, because I think whether Samsonov's up or he's down, Martin Jones has to play now, right? Especially after what Keith just said and then that performance last night.
Oh, yeah, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. But the unfortunate thing in this day and age, these guys can't play every game. And I think Martin Jones is like a fine third goaltender. But for all these people 4 days ago proclaiming this guy as the fucking Vezina winner, like, give me a break. I mean, he's nothing special. The numbers will check out in the AHL. The numbers will check out in his career. He is what he is. So I think, again, to begin, there were unrealistic expectations with Jones. But I don't think there should be any concern. Like, I think that's the big conversation. No, you can't send him to the AHL because, God forbid, somebody picked him up off waivers. I would look at that as a blessing, a fucking blessing ahead of March 8th to give this team some salary cap space, man. Like, I'm so done with this guy. And for those of you who watched the podcast and listened early on in the season, I was the first backer of Ilya Samsonov. Like, there's no way you can bury this guy this quickly. It's 14 appearances, man. Like, that's legitimate sample size in the NHL. We're at Christmas, and this guy can't make a save, and I feel like I'm watching Baywatch because he's swimming out there.
Yeah, he is swimming. He's sliding out of the crease. He's all over, and he's been like that all year. It's been ugly. He's had the few games where he's been solid, but just his effort level. And you look at Washington, right? They move on from Vanacek, who is struggling with the Devils. They moved on from Samsonov, who is struggling. And now they have Kemper, who's playing well, and Lindgren, who's been amazing. Like, maybe they were onto something. You don't just let goalies walk that are good, right? You don't just get a goalie that's homegrown that could be a stud and get rid of them. It's like the Leafs moving on from Joseph Wall right now. When you homegrown somebody that's in your system that can play, you keep them. They don't let guys walk. Maybe they're onto something. You watch him. He's been kind of he's struggled his whole career with, being in shape and getting in trouble and just his effort. I don't know. For me, I struggle with it because I'm like the old school. I was built on working hard, and I had to fight for every chance I got. So I struggle with these guys that are like silver spooners coming up in the system. They get everything handed to him, and he's just an absolute dog. But I don't know. Who knows? That's just me because I'm bitter and retired.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.